All right. First question is, the first day of the season, true. What did you think, looking at your team, were your chances of making it to the playoffs? What were you looking for?
I thought they were very good because I knew coming in that my pitching was going to be very strong. But also in the same sense, when you feel your pitching is strong like that, then the chances of you losing to quite a few of those guys is pretty obvious or pretty high. Offensively, there were some question marks that we, a couple of situations where we made a couple of moves to bring in a couple of guys. For the most part, position pair-wise, we pretty much had the same team. J.O. in center, Crozier, Benjamin, Garcia, Osborne. Cumberland was here. He had a couple of really good Double-A years. G was going in as my fourth outfielder, fifth outfielder, and then we weren't sure about McFall when we had him. So looking at numbers, with the pitching staff, I really focused on control. I'm looking at guys. I don't look to see how many hits they give up. I just look to see their innings pitched and how many walks they have. And the pitchers that I started the season with were guys that threw strikes. They weren't afraid of contact. Now that all changes during the course of the year sometimes. The guys start struggling, but for the most part, we've been that all year until the last 3 weeks. And, I felt our chances were definitely good to win the first half. And if that doesn't happen, then you gear up or retool and win the second half. It's always a luxury to win the first half because you're in the playoffs. But yeah, I felt my chances were really good. Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest obstacle that you've had to overcome this season?
Well, I'm a hitter and I am the hitting coach. And I hired J.O. as my hitting coach because it was good for him because that's what he wants to do one day is be a coach. And we just, consistent-wise, we've not been there offensively. I mean, we're a streak hitting team. We'll go through streaks and it'll be absolutely wonderful and I can relax. And then we go through streaks where I'm wondering, have we ever hit before? And I tell my guys that. But that's been probably the most frustrating is the fact that we've left so many runners in scoring position. Our batting average was running scoring position is like 227. With the bases loaded, we hit like 170. Those big times when we could really bust the game open, we haven't done. I'm a little frustrated with that. I mean, I think that's probably the biggest thing that we tried to look at preparing to go into the playoffs, and that's why we brought a guy in like Greg Porter, and we brought in David Espinosa. Both of those guys have a history of being able to swing the bat a little bit, and they can play multiple positions. Has
there been one particular highlight, of the season that when you look back on just the moment so far that stands out for you, memorable?
I can't put my finger on. I mean, Riker's going for a league record wins tonight. Jim Ed's leading the league in saves. We had 23 straight series that we didn't lose. I think that would be the things that I'd say are probably going to be most memorable as far as the season goes. Until we have an opportunity to win this thing, and then that'll go above all that.
Is there one player who's been the most pleasant surprise for you this season?
Well, I mean, if you look at Benjamin's numbers, he's been like a 272 career hitter. A couple of years for 16 home runs. The kid that came out of the Frontier League and got signed by an organization and got as high as AAA, a good bit of time in Double-A. He's had a tremendous year. He's our MVP as far as I'm concerned. Crozier's 20 home runs, and he's not swinging the bat that well right now. I'd have to say Benjamin.
And finally, going into the first round of the playoffs, what do you think? And you guys, it's a balanced league. You've played each other a lot. What do you think is going to be the key or the keys for you guys beating Bridgeport?
Well, I think the four teams that are in the playoffs are the four best teams in the league, and all four teams are good. I mean, that team over there, they can flat out hit. I mean, you look at their offensive numbers, and they're so far above everybody else in the league. And of course, we're down at the bottom of that. Bridgeport's offense is very good. Bridgeport's pitching is very good. Etch's pitching right now is a little, he's retooling on that. And Somerset, Somerset are winning for the last 2 years. They've got their people back healthy. They've done some things with their pitching staff. You have to pitch them very tough. I mean, they're an experienced bunch of guys that have been there before. I guess to say right now they're probably the team to beat because they're clicking on all cylinders. And Bridgeport is too. I'm not leaving my team out of anything, but I'm just saying from what's transpired over the last 2 to 3 weeks, those two teams have been hot and playing very well.
Knowing that, especially, at the end of the season, just having, you talked a little bit about how York's pitching staff, they're kind of patching it together. Having Reichert on the role he's on and getting John Halama back, what does that mean for you guys to have two starters like that going into the playoffs?
I think when John walked in the day before yesterday, you could really see an uplift in the clubhouse as far as, okay, John's here. With his experience, with his clubhouse character, with his professionalism, and he's a big game pitcher. In the Atlantic League, he's been a big game pitcher, and he goes in the pitching, starting in the third game. It's a huge lift for us pitching wise. Our bullpen's beat up right now. John Halama, when he's only pitched 2 innings at the most this year. I mean, lately they've had him in the bullpen. We'll get him a start tomorrow. Try to get 60 pitches. Maybe a little simulated bullpen session on Wednesday, even though it is the first game of the playoffs, so they can be ready to go and get his pitches up a little bit. He knows showing 60 pitches he's going to be gassed because he hasn't done that. I think his last outing he threw 26 pitches in 2 innings.
And what are your plans for the off season?
My plans for the off season? Well, I got my son here. My oldest boy's here. He's just finished his first year with the Blue Jays, and he was called up to the Midwest League about 4 weeks ago.
Saw that.
Had a very good year. Came by to spend some time with me before he goes to instructional league. And of course, his mother would like to have him home right now. I'll go home and spend time. Hank's a big football player. He's in his senior season. He's committed to go to the University of Arizona on a football scholarship. Yeah, he's a big linebacker. He loves it. He's a very good baseball player. He just doesn't want to play. That's the way it is. And my little guy's 13. He's tall, skinny, nose is all over his face. He's got braces and his voice changing. It's not a really good combination right now. But we're going to work on him. I talked to him, and he's a natural lefty, but I think I asked him if he'd be my first switch hitter, so we're going to start working on that when I get home. And my little girl, I'll probably take her to Target every other day. That's what she likes to do. And spend a lot of time with my wife.
That's great. Yeah. Just get to relax.
Yeah. Well, I have probably a client base of about 65 kids that I work with.
This is in Bakersfield.
It's in Bakersfield, and so I'll do my lessons and go to football games, take my wife to dinner and a movie on the weekends.
Great.
That's what I'm going to do.
Awesome.